Army uproar. Is Taekook's friendship starting to crack? Why did Taehyung suddenly want a project that Jungkook was originally designed for? And more surprisingly, HYBE considered the request just before Jungkook finished his enlistment. Is this the end of the BTS harmony we've loved so far? Army can't shut up. Strong reaction after HYBE's confirmation of Taehyung wants to usurp Jungkook's project. Is this just a misunderstanding? Or is there something deeper, more emotional, and more surprising than what it seems? The K-pop world is once again shaken by news that comes not from baseless rumors, but from HYBE's own official confirmation. An exclusive project that Jungkook had long been preparing for, it has now become the center of a storm of emotions, questions, and speculation after Taehyung publicly showed interest, even as revealed by several internal sources wanting to take over the project. And even more surprising, HYBE. Consider it. Is it true that Taehyung wants to replace Jungkook in the prestigious project? What is really going on behind the walls of the HYBE meeting? And the biggest question that now thrills armies around the world, is this the beginning of the rift between Taehyung and Jungkook? It all starts with a small signal too small to be taken seriously at first. Taehyung appears to be increasingly active in talking about his ambitions in various personal interviews. He said he wanted to try something bolder, more exploratory before he also prepared for his mandatory military service. His words sounded ordinary until the most sensitive army realized that Taehyung's description, it is identical to Jungkook's solo project announced a few months earlier by HYBE, and like a small blaze doused with gasoline, chaos began. Jungkook, who had always been a calm and passionate figure when talking about the project, suddenly disappeared from the spotlight. He is no longer seen behind-the-scenes rehearsals, no more posts on social media related to the creative process, and even the staff who used to accompany the production process claimed to be asked to temporarily stop their work. Why? Because of HYBE. Center reevaluate the format and filler of the project. Reevaluate? Right before Jungkook finishes his enlistment? When everything is over 80% done, it didn't take long for the army to smell the conspiracy. And when some of Taehyung's lines from previous interviews were brought up again, I want to try a project that wasn't originally for me, but I feel like it fits. Everything becomes too obvious, too slicing, and too painful. HYBE. What did you do to Jungkook? Wrote an army on Platform X, formerly Twitter, which was immediately followed by tens of thousands of retweets in a matter of minutes. It's not just anger. It was a deep disappointment, a question that demanded an answer, and an open wound for many fans who had always believed in Taekook as a brother, not a rival. But the most painful questions do not stop there. Why does Taehyung want it? Is this just ambition? Or is it a feeling of jealousy that has never been expressed? And if so, is their friendship just a mask? Some in the industry stated that Taehyung felt neglected after his solo project didn't get as much promotional support as Jungkook's. Although Taehyung has always appeared calm in front of the camera, those who work behind the scenes mentioned that there is a deep wound that has never healed since V's solo album was released. And now, Jungkook's thoughtful and well-funded project has become a symbol of inequality that has only been whispered about in production halls. She felt she deserved it, said a source from HYBE's creative team, who did not want to be named. He thinks the project is not just for Jungkook. Taehyung feels he can take it further. And this is the moment that made millions of ARMY collapse. Jungkook, who had been known as the Golden Magne, was silent. It does not argue. He's not defending himself. It's just shut up. Because silence is sometimes louder than a cry, and silence is sometimes more painful than 1,000 words. Does he feel betrayed? Or has he given up? Not a few ARMY began to dig back the old moments. Video footage in which Taehyung appears to glance at Jungkook with an expression that is difficult to interpret. A cut of a vlog in which Jungkook talks about things being secretly taken away. Vague comments about, I feel like I'm missing something that should be mine. Is that all a sign? Now the spotlight is on HYBE. In its official statement, the agency only mentioned that we consider the best range of possibilities for all of our artists, including flexibility in allocating projects that match interests and talents. But that sentence, instead of explaining, ignited even more confusion and anger. Because what kind of flexibility is worth putting on top of the sweat and dedication of JUNGKOOK, who has spent years preparing that project? Even Taehyung begins to come under pressure from two sides, from those who adore him and from those who now question his intentions. And among all that, JUNGKOOK stands alone. It's too quiet for someone who's been shining so long. It's not just projects that are at stake here, not just a career. It's about feelings. It's about how two best friends who have gone through everything together now stand on two sides of the conflict, not because they want to, but because of the system that drives them. And HYBE, what exactly are you doing? Why bring up such considerations when JUNGKOOK's time is almost over? Is this a strategy? Are you trying to avoid a major clash when JUNGKOOK returns and discovers that his project is no longer his? Or rather, is this your way of seeing who is more profitable financially? Those questions hang in the air. The answer may never be made public. The Army's response? That was enough of a slap for HYBE. Trending hashtags #RespectJungkook and #TaeHyungTruth flooded social media, accompanied by a collage of tears, a sense of loss, and nostalgia for moments of familiarity they used to be proud of, and now, the K-pop world is waiting. Is this just a temporary storm? Or is this the beginning of a major change that will shake up the BTS order as we know it? The Army has spoken. But did HYBE hear? Or whether they have chosen to be silent, like JUNGKOOK, the feeling that you are no longer a priority. That after all you gave, all the hard work, long nights, physical fatigue, and sincerity you put into creating something meaningful could have been captured in one sentence. We will reconsider who is best suited for this project. That was the sentence that came to JUNGKOOK's ears from his manager in the third week of his sabbatical before he returned to his final military service. And since then, there have been no more uploads from JUNGKOOK. There is no longer a distinctive smile that warms the Army day. There was no more laughter from the usual rehearsal room that could be heard even from the second floor of the HYBE building, and the public began to notice it. JUNGKOOK looked empty while eating with the staff, didn't say much, said a crew member who happened to be present at the meeting. In the past, he was always the most talkative, the most excited when talking about his songs. But that time, he was quiet, didn't even finish his meal. Is this an unspeakable disappointment? Taehyung himself, despite his silence, finally began to show signs that he realized the situation had become more serious. He looks more cautious in interviews, more measured in answering questions about his solo plans. But unfortunately, the internet never forgets. The old snippet when Taehyung mentions that the project that wasn't for me at first is calling me more now, is now widely circulated and is big ammunition for those who blame him. V seized JUNGKOOK's dream. Shouldn't brothers support each other, not compete? This is not ambition. This is betrayal. These comments are not just an outpouring of angry fans. It's the sound of the collective disappointment that has long loved Taekook's friendship as a symbol of unconditional love in the BTS family. And when the symbol cracked, they didn't know who to believe. Taehyung's fault? Some say note a longtime BTS choreographer who now works freelance mentioned that HYBE's internal pressure is actually much greater than it seems. Taehyung may have been asked to consider the project, not because he wanted to, but because management wanted to explore the possibility of a more profitable expansion before their vacuum really began, he said. Sometimes, artists have only two choices: take it or forgotten. If that's true, then is Taehyung just a victim of strategy, or has he become embroiled in the cruel power games of the entertainment industry? JUNGKOOK is not a kid who doesn't know this game. He knew that in the world in which he stood, loyalty could change in a matter of seconds. But what he didn't expect, that the one who'll challenge him is the one he trusts the most. Those who have been following BTS for a long time will remember how Taehyung once cried because he felt guilty for worrying JUNGKOOK in the early days of their debut. How he hugged JUNGKOOK when they were both exhausted after the concert. How they encouraged each other in the midst of tremendous pressure as global artists. All that, it feels like a memory from a time too far away. V and JUNGKOOK were always my comfort, wrote one Brazilian fan. But now it hurts to even look at their pictures together. HYBE also seems to be starting to feel the pressure they are creating themselves. Some new statements began to appear, trying to defuse the fire. We believe every member of BTS has incredible potential, and we always encourage them to explore creative possibilities. But the final decision has not yet been established and is still in discussio. 1 week after the rumors exploded, the hashtag #RespectJungKook began trending in 27 countries, including South Korea, the United States, Brazil, and Indonesia. But behind that digital power, a much more tangible pressure is creeping into HYBE's luxurious Yongsan office buildings. A pressure that cannot be extinguished with press releases or normative words designed to defuse the storm, because this storm is not just an emotion. This is a cry of betrayed trust. One of the most astonishing moments came from RM's sudden live stream, which is usually known for its calmness and diplomacy. He did not name names, but his words were enough to make the public shudder. Sometimes, even people you trust can surprise you. And sometimes you can just shut up, because if you talk, everything will change. The sentence instantly ignited uncontrollable speculation. I asked Namjoon talking about Taehyung, or about HYBE, or about both. It didn't take long for the media to start reporting. RM doesn't seem to agree with these actions, and although the agency tried to set the record straight that the statements were general and not specific, the army had already solved their own conundrum. Even more shocking was the leaked audio from inside the studio, which showed a conversation between a producer and a frustrated assistant. This project was originally for Jungkook. But for some reason, they started asking for a re-demo with Taehyung's vocal color. We were confused as to whom to obey. This audio set the internet on fire. The fans compiled all the clues that suggest the project was originally designed for Jungkook since last year, from the style of the arrangement, to the aesthetics of the leaked concept video, to Jungkook's signature vocal style that dominates the lyrics. And when HYBE went silent again, they actually triggered the next explosion. Did HYBE forget who was the most dedicated during the global promotion? Didn't they see Jungkook's tears during the last solo concert? Do they think fans don't know that this project is Jungkook's personal wish since he started recording it before he even enlisted? These comments turned into petitions. The petition turned into a digital protest. Digital protests are beginning to turn to the real world. HYBE's office in Seoul is now more heavily guarded, after some fans began leaving bouquets of flowers that read, "To Jungkook, the true owner of this project. We're with you." Meanwhile, Taehyung begins to face heavy pressure that he never expected. In an interview with a Japanese fashion magazine, he was asked indirectly, if a project has been made for your best friend, but the management asked you to take it, what are you going to do? Taehyung was silent for 8 seconds. He tried to smile, but his smile never reached his eyes. I will consider many things, including how he will feel later. The sentence, although it sounded diplomatic, only made matters worse, because the public read one thing: Taehyung is not ready to step down, and from here the conflict reaches a boiling point. A former BTS staffer, who is no longer under contract, uploaded a long thread on social media that went viral. He told how for the past 2 years, Jungkook has been completely obsessed with creating this masterpiece. He even slept in the studio, have the demo repeated 14 times. She was crying when the bridge didn't quite live up to her expectations. This is no ordinary project for him. This is a kind of spiritual peak. And when asked why HYBE shifted the focus to Taehyung, he only answered one sentence: because HYBE was afraid of losing the stage when Jungkook couldn't promote, and they thought V was better prepared publicly. This statement provoked almost unstoppable emotions. For fans, it's not just about the project. It's about justice, about unappreciated hard work. The question of how the entertainment system can easily sacrifice one golden child to put another in a strategic position just for timing and exposure reasons. Even industry analysts are starting to speak up, a popular music critic wrote in his column. If this is true, then HYBE not only failed to read the heart of the artist, but also failed to appreciate the voice of the fans. It's not about who is more popular. It's about who fought for it in the first place. And in the midst of all this commotion, one question continues to swirl in the minds of millions of ARMY around the world. What will Jungkook do when he returns? Will he speak? Or will he choose to remain silent? and let it all pass, even though his heart is